Orchestrals, welcome to Monday's Talk for Writing session. So over the next couple of weeks we are going to change it up and we are going to do poetry. So we are today going to introduce you to our model text, which is a poem written by Tony Mitton called A Dream of Elephants. So this is going to be our model text. We're going to then be exploring different elephants and by the end of it you are going to be writing your own poem. So hopefully what we're going to learn to do today is to perform a poem, because performance poetry is really big and it's different to just our normal reading. So I might have a go at performing this poem, so that you can hear what it should sound like, and today you're going to be practicing it. So let me have a go. Obviously start with the title first. A dream of elephants. I dreamed a dream of elephants. I cannot tell you why, but in my dream I saw the herd go slowly walking by. They moved beneath the blazing sun through rising dust and heat. They made their solemn journey on strong and silent feet. And as I watched the steady herd walk slowly sadly by, until I stood amazed alone beneath the silent sky. I watched them as they moved away, I watched as they walked on. They merged into the heat and dust till all of them were gone. I dreamed a dream of elephants, I cannot tell you why, but in my dream I saw the herd go slowly walking by.
Can I give you some feedback?
Yeah.
Well, I really liked that you read it and it was fluent. So it flowed really nicely, and I think you tried to pair up the rhyming words quite nicely. But for the listening to the words, I thought it was quite a solemn poem, so it should be read maybe a little bit slower. And when performing, so when we perform a poem, we don't just read it, and I felt that you were just reading off the piece of paper and you weren't understanding it. So the meaning wasn't getting across to the children at home.
No, you're right. I think maybe I did just read it. So do you want to show me how maybe I could improve?
Okay, so maybe you could start by reading the title. You did that really well. So, A Dream of Elephants by Tony Mitton. I dreamed a dream of elephants. I cannot tell you why, but in my dream I saw the herd go slowly walking by. They moved beneath a blazing sun, through rising dust and heat. They made their solemn journey on strong and silent feet. And as I watched the steady herd walk slowly, sadly by, until I stood amazed alone beneath a silent sky. I watched them as they moved away. I watched them as they walk on. They merged into the heat and dust, till all of them were gone. I dreamed a dream of elephants. I cannot tell you why, but in my dream I saw the herd go slowly walking by.
Wow, I could see a big improvement between me reading the poem and actually you performing the poem. I think that made a big difference because you memorised that really well. So I can see that maybe you've read through it and practiced it far more times than I have.
Yeah.
So you've memorised it and then you were able to perform it. I also noticed that you were emphasising some of the words.
Well, I thought they're elephants and they thud, and I hear in thud, I hear the D, so I thought if I over-exaggerated the D, it would almost give the impression of the elephants walking, and it kind of it gave me something to focus on and slow down, because elephants don't walk quickly. It said in the text that they walk slowly, so I'm using the words as cues to how I perform it really.
You slowed it down, you listened to the words, and I could tell that you found a steady rhythm. You paused for the same amount of time between the stanzas. It was really good. I really enjoyed your performance of that. And I think obviously listening to the words made a big difference to how you understood the poem and then performed it.
Definitely, and like when I was learning it, I thought, okay, the first stanza and the last stanza, because of 5, are the same. So actually, all I had to learn was 4, and that made it so much easier because I broke it down into chunks.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, what can I remember? Well, I knew in the second verse it was all about the blazing sun. In the third stanza, it was all about how slowly and sadly they were walking. And then I thought, okay, fourth one, that they were walking away. It was getting near the end, and then I knew to repeat it. So I remember little tricks to help me think about what came where.
That's really clever. And actually, we don't expect, I think you've spent a bit of time practicing this. So maybe at home, the children aren't expected to learn it all straight away, but the more you practice it and read through it, the more likely they are to remember it quicker.
Yeah, definitely. I think they can do it. I've practiced it. I didn't go it all at once. I did it at different points of the day today.
Yeah, so actually maybe today's English lesson doesn't have to be in one chunk. They can keep coming back through it throughout the day. I think that might help them out a bit. often, we could ask them to film themselves recording it and send them through to us.
Definitely. Or they could ask their parents to give them some feedback, and their parents send us feedback and say, oh, they did an amazing job. I really felt what the poem was about.
Well, I think definitely hearing that steady beat as well. Can you maybe create some actions, like when we do our story maps and our actions for all of the stories we learn? Could you add some actions to it? Could you maybe, if we're thinking about elephants plodding and thumping along, can you maybe add some stomping or some tapping or some banging to the background of you performing your poem? I hope we're going to have some really creative ideas in performance poetry.
Well, considering they like singing and they are really good with their actions, and when we do it in
Really good.
class, I have high hopes.
Me too. So we really look forward to you sending in your performance poetry today, okay? And then hopefully, if you're also happy, your parents can let us know if you're happy for us to share them with the class as well. So let us